Well, that's one way to look at it. Here to talk about that and more of the Trump transition is Matt Schlapp of the American Conservative Union, also former political director for George W. Bush, and Greg, national security correspondent for the Washington Post. Good morning, gentlemen. Greg, let's start with you. You wrote that Donald Trump and the CIA could be on a collision course, specifically over the issue of Russia's role in the election. What do Donald Trump's words this weekend do to his relationship with intelligence officials? I mean, he's got to work with them very closely in a very short amount of time.
Yeah, I mean, he's got in a month or so, he's going to be in a job where you would think he would be relying to a large extent on these same intelligence services that he's now disparaging. I mean, I think it was a devastating remark. I mean, but it was the latest in a long series of remarks and moves by Trump that have been dismissive of U.S. intelligence agencies, but saying that he doesn't feel like he needs to hear the same thing every day. He doesn't need to be briefed by the CIA. Doesn't called their assessment on Russia ridiculous. I mean, this looks like a president who has no time whatsoever for these intelligence services, and that doesn't bode well. I mean, for the relationship between the White House and these 16 spy agencies.
Matt, do you think it's that Donald Trump doesn't trust the intelligence community? Is that why he's not taking these briefings every day? I want to share just a bit of what he had to say.
You are getting the presidential daily brief only once a week.
Well, I get it when I need it. I say, if something should change from this point, immediately call me. I'm available on 1 minute's notice. I don't have to be told, you know, I'm like a smart person. I don't have to be told the same thing and the same words every single day.
Matt, I've clearly never received an intelligence briefing. Is it the same thing every day?
Well, it can be, and I actually think his answer makes some sense. He's going to he's going to be the president in the way he wants to be the president. He has shattered all the norms on how you get there, and I think he's going to shatter norms in how you be president. I think he was clear that anytime there's new information that, and he's not sworn in yet, let's make that clear, as president, certainly he will need to know that information to make decisions. I think it also says that he's going to rely a lot upon the people he's picked to run these agencies. Mike Pompeo at CIA, General Mattis, KT McFarland, and General Mike Flynn. Those people are spending a lot of time with him, certainly KT and General Flynn, walking through the world with him, walking through what their approach to these real serious questions should be. But remember, he's not sworn in yet, and as president, I expect him to do what he said he was going to do, which is keep us safe.
Does that mean, or are you saying that when he's sworn in, he is going to be taking these briefings on a daily basis?
You know, I don't know what he will do or not do. I think what he said is he will make sure that he makes time anytime there's new information the president needs to know. My experience with President George W. Bush, it went far beyond the daily brief into regular meetings with what you might call the war cabinet on a daily basis or a several-week basis. You know, the threats facing America are huge, and we shouldn't get wrapped up around one briefing. It really becomes an all-day, all-night event for the leader of the free world.
I want to take a turn and talk Rex Tillerson for a moment. The apparent choice for Secretary of State, though, you know, it's not over till it's over. Greg, if Rex Tillerson is chosen, what kind of bipartisan grilling is he going to face? I mean, he's not a traditional name.
Yeah, it's not a traditional name, and the ties to Russia sort of add to a strange, bizarre phenomenon in this emerging administration that's really heavy on affection for Russia. So I would think that along those lines, it's going to face a great deal of scrutiny. You've already got Mike Flynn as a national security advisor who very controversially took a trip to appear at Putin's side at a gala in Moscow last year. You have Donald Trump's repeated expressions of admiration for Putin and support for how Russia is conducting itself in the war in Syria, which is completely at odds with the U.S. strategy and intentions.
Matt, what's your take on Rex Tillerson? When you see names like Condoleezza Rice back him, that clearly gives him a lot of credibility. He's been an extraordinarily successful man at Exxon, but people are concerned about his ties with Russia. The fact that he has been, you know, awarded the highest honor of friendship, the highest accolade one could get if you're not a Russian, it's got some people concerned. Are you concerned?
Yeah, well, first of all, I do not admire nor do I respect Vladimir Putin. I think he is a thug, And I think that our country needs to be awfully careful with him, but that we do have to deal with him. I think Rex Tillerson might be the first pick that is going to experience extra scrutiny for a variety of reasons. And I think this is why we have a constitutional system where the Senate gets to ask a lot of tough and probing questions to see if they want to confirm him. I'm confident in the end he will be. But we're going to go through a process here. I think you said it exactly right about Rex Tillerson. He has a deep understanding of Russia, not just Vladimir Putin and having a strong relationship with him. He's been involved extensively in Russia since Boris Yeltsin led the country. So I think he is somebody who understands this important country. I do not see how that is a downside for the next Secretary of State. Matter of fact, like Condi Rice, who spent her academic career studying Russia, I think it might be a very strong positive.
Whether it's Rex Tillerson or a number of other people Donald Trump has chosen, they come from the business community. And we've talked a lot about the positives of these very successful people. But given your experience, how complicated will it be for someone like Rex Tillerson? I mean, as the CEO of Exxon, you think that CEOs of publicly traded companies are very public. They're very transparent. He's actually not. Exxon is a very private company. You don't see a lot of leaks. If he's running the State Department, that place is like Swiss cheese with the amount of leaks that happen, controlling that. How difficult will it be for Rex Tillerson to take a position like that?
You must have covered the State Department because you know it well. Look, I have been on the record publicly saying I think John Bolton was the strongest choice because he understands the building well. And what happens with a lot of people who are picked from the outside into the State Department, into that Truman building, is they get eaten alive because these are people who have spent their whole lives understanding a region of the globe well, and a lot of times there are political disagreements that get played out in the front pages of the press. So that is a huge challenge for someone who's never spent a day in public office. But Donald Trump hasn't spent a day in public office either, and he is shattering these norms, and he's going to pick outsiders, and he's going to have a fresh approach. It is the way it is. If we don't realize that now, we need to realize that.
I've never covered the State Department, but I have covered business, and Exxon, though massive, is a very private organization. The majority of interviews you'll see with Rex Tillerson are with the Boy Scouts of America, not the business community or business journalists. Pretty interesting. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this